There is an extraordinary roster of passionate women who have dedicated their lives to making this region and our community a better place in which to live. Dr. Alice Berry Graham, born 1850, and her sister, Dr. Katharine Berry Richardson, born 1858, are two who lead the list.
The Berry sisters were Katharine Berry Richardson and Alice Berry Graham. They lost their mother when Katharine was 3, and they were raised by their father, a man who believed in education for women.
The Berry sisters went to high school, college, and professional school, almost unheard of in the late 1800s. Alice, a dentist, and Katharine, a surgeon, tried to establish their practices in Kansas City, but were met with resistance.
Alice set up her dental chair in the living room of their home, and Katharine did house calls. Then one day, someone called Alice about a poor, abandoned 5-year-old girl. Alice went to rescue her. She was sick, and the sisters nursed her back to health. And through that act of kindness, they realized their calling, that there was a gap in healthcare for children, and so in 1897, they founded a children's hospital that today we call Children's Mercy Hospital. And even though the sisters were devoted to each other, they were very different in personality. Alice was known as the gentle diplomat. She's the one who administratively ran the hospital in the early days. She was the one who was out there raising funds, asking for donations of food, clothing, bedding. And Katharine, the surgeon, ran the hospital.
Early locations for the hospital were in various houses, but the Berry sisters were careful never to make any purchases on credit. The first building to be constructed solely for the purpose of providing medical care to sick children was on Independence Avenue and 17th Street, now a part of Kansas City University of Medicine and Biosciences. Sadly, Alice never saw it completed. She passed in 1913 and left the fundraising and development of the hospital to Katharine. But the community was generous, as well as numerous women's clubs of the day, and the doors opened on the $1 million Mercy Hospital in 1917. 10 years later, an adjoining home for nurses was added. But Katharine Berry Richardson's determination to make Kansas City a more socially responsible community was just beginning.
Social justice was at the very core of their beliefs. They learned it from their father, the abolitionist. They founded Children's Mercy Hospital for poor children, for children who were homeless. Devoting your life to the care of poor children is one of the finest forms of social justice that there can be. Katharine knew in her heart that she wasn't really treating all the poor children of the community, because the African American children weren't being admitted to Children's Mercy Hospital because of the segregation laws at the time. So she formed a partnership with one of the African American physicians in the community, John Edward Perry. He founded Wheatley Provident Hospital, and Katharine found the money to build a children's ward at Wheatley Provident. She knew that there couldn't be a children's ward at Wheatley Provident without educating the African American physicians and nurses in pediatrics. And so she began a pediatric residency program for the physicians and a nursing program for the nurses. The sisters understood that they needed skilled nurses to help them in their care for children, and they weren't there. So they founded a nursing school. And true to form, it wasn't a nursing school in the mold of the time. It was a nursing school made more in their image, an image of dignity and respect for the profession of nursing, a recognition of nurses as equal members of the healthcare team.
Children's Mercy Hospital has been serving sick children and their families for 120 years now. And to this day, as the Berry sisters intended, children are treated from any state, any faith, and regardless of the ability to pay. Their selfless devotion to care for the most vulnerable of our community, our children, has inspired countless men and women to continue the journey. The result, Children's Mercy Hospital is one of the leading children's hospitals in the world. For dreaming big and making their dreams come true, we are privileged to welcome Alice Berry Graham and Katharine Berry Richardson into the Starr Women's Hall of Fame.